You're listening to Ecto Portal, a journey into the unknown with Anthony Anderson and Verna Wilson.
I hope that you are seated comfortably, with the light turned down and the curtains drawn.
Somebody there?
Hello, once again, to another journey into the unexplored, the unexplained Ecto Portal. I'm Anthony Anderson, your host, and I'm here with my co-host,
Verna Wilson. Hi, everybody.
Welcome back. And this week we have some more ghost stories. What a shock! What a surprise! What location is our specific ghost stories, Verna?
This is going to take place in Santa Clara County, which is in the San Jose area, which is San Jose South Bay area within the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. The town of Los Gatos, the name of the town means the cat.
The cat, interesting.
Mm-hmm. And there's cats involved in this story.
And you have ghost stories and stuff from that particular town?
I have places that are meant to be haunted, mm-hmm. and what some people have seen from it, and also my experiences growing up in Los Gatos, what I've gathered as far as haunted places.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I spent part of my childhood there.
So I recently had the opportunity to investigate the old Letterman Hospital here in the Presidio in San Francisco.
Wonderful. I was born there.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I think
So
the building you were born in actually got torn down in 2006 because
mm-hmm.
Lucasfilm bought the property that building was on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the building that you were born in, was that one.
Wow. Just kidding.
But if you look at pictures, like there's pictures from the late 1800s. There's one huge one on the wall, and the oldest building of the hospital is still there.
I'd love to see some of that.
2 or 3 of them. And it shows the Palace of Fine Arts when it was the original temporary Palace of Fine Arts for the World's Fair
mm-hmm.
is in the background, and there's just massive buildings of recovery units.
I've seen old pictures of the hospital.
Huge,
yeah,
gigantic.
Mm-hmm.
So we've always wanted to get there. Everybody I know wants to investigate who's a ghost hunter. Oh, I want to get into Letterman Hospital. Good luck.
You've talked about that with me a few times mm-hmm. over the past couple of years. Yeah.
And it was closed down right when I moved here. It was like 2007 or 8. They was shut down permanently, and it was boarded up, gated up, and it sat there. Most of the hospital sat there unused, except for that one building they tore down and sold
That actually might have been the time to investigate because nobody's going near there.
People broke in investigating.
Oh, well.
Which is not great.
That's not good either. No, that's not good.
But when I first moved here, I had not yet delved into the world of the paranormal, so I would have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't know about the hospital.
Of course, yeah.
But we were there, and it's like there's nonprofits that reside in the buildings now. It's kind of nice. It's a little incubator
mm-hmm.
for different companies. And we got to investigate with some teams. We did it a little bit on our own beforehand, just to look around, and then we planned and helped do this investigation. Got a little bit of evidence in some of the recovery wards. There's one operating room we got some stuff in. And one point it sounded like some of the local Native Americans, the language came through on the Miracle Box. There was a woman
that would
talking
make sense.
in Native American. It sounded like Native American, and they wanted to.
Well, the land's been around a long time, even before, Letterman Hospital.
Alone. I think it was Alone Indians in the Presidio.
Yeah, I believe that.
So someone's going to take a look at that and see if there is Alone words in there. I didn't know, but she said, "Oh, that sounds like Alone." So you never know. You never know.
It's always interesting to take a look at the history of the land that where you actually were walking around and see what you might have captured from that history.
Yeah.
But did you feel anything when you were walking around?
A look in the recovery wards. We did.
The
And
recovery wards, interesting.
The original administrative building felt a little unusual too. Every time we entered that
Of course,
building,
it was a hospital. You're going to feel something.
yeah, when it isn't now, but you still get that.
Well,
Old. There's been history here kind of feeling. And I guess there were sightings that employees have seen. Women walking around and nurses. They've seen patients.
that doesn't
vanish.
surprise me one bit.
One time they saw a woman in an orange blouse sitting in one of their cubicles, or standing in one of the cubicles, but she was like facing the wall, and they didn't say anything to her. And someone said, "Did you see that woman? Did you see that woman?" "Yeah, I walked by and I saw her there, but I didn't say anything." And they went back, and she wasn't there, and nobody had seen her. Nobody let a woman in.
Hospitals have a lot of leftover energy
So-
from all the stuff that goes on.
But the woman didn't interact. She was just kind of in her own little world.
I believe that.
So they have all kinds of stories like that where they see stuff and it disappears. Mm-hmm. Voices, they hear voices in the basement and some of the file rooms.
I believe it.
So yeah, I would love to go back, but it's the Presidio and the Presidio Trust. Really, there's actually I guess there's a secret building, another recovery ward.
Oh.
It's so haunted they can't even lease it out to a business. All the businesses move in, have experiences, and move out.
Are they going to let you go to that building? Why?
They don't want people to. They don't want. They're trying to lease the buildings out, so they don't really want people to know all that. So I said, yeah, that's the building I want.
That's
to go
the building
to.
you want. I would think that would be
Yeah.
the building you would want to go to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I said, "Ooh, I'd love to get in there," but they won't even stay in there. They won't even occupy it to put for themselves.
Did you ask them what they've heard and seen?
Well, they weren't there. There's no one there to ask. Nobody knew either. So, but
Gosh, that would be.
but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Whenever you get a chance to investigate a place in your local town that
Oh, definitely.
is like a holy grail that no one gets to go, you take your moment.
Absolutely.
So maybe, who knows? Maybe in the future I'll go
Sure.
back. But yeah, so that's kind of what I've done lately. So let's do the paranormal news. What do you think?
I think that's good. No news for me. Just been looking over, caring for a couple of cats that need a lot of care. That's all.
All right.
Okay.
All right, on to the paranormal news, folks. Here we go. All right, welcome to the paranormal news. What have you got for us, Verna?
Well, this is about a woman who's had sex with a ghost every night for 20 years. She dumped him over his fangs.
There's a lot of questions.
There's a lot of questions about that. Yeah, and she had it was a relationship that lasted for 2 decades, and she admitted that she dumped him after she saw his face, and she never wants him to contact her again or her to contact him again. So. So she said that her relationship with the ghost started when she was younger, and it led to 2 decades of passionate nights together, where there, lots of hot sex, making love. And she said she went as far as to claim that that despite falling in love, things went sour after a while when she saw his face.
Don't you hate that?
Yeah, I know.
After she saw
You're
his
making love with
face.
somebody and you saw their face. Jeez. So she said that he was a large male figure with fangs and the face of a gargoyle. So,
A beast.
yeah. So she decided she didn't want any contact with him again. And
Who got the house?
who got the house? Well, she's from Colombia, and she shared a romance on a TV show called Sin Carita. It's a state-owned channel in Colombia, state-owned channel Canal 1, and she explained to the show's host Juan Diego Alvera how the relationship started. She said that one day she was laying down, she felt a hand move from her feet to her chest, and,
Oh yeah.
and she said it was really strange. She was
Baby.
scared.
Ooh, I'm scared, but no.
I can't read this.
Keep going.
So from that moment, he started to have sex with her.
Oh.
And she said she admitted she enjoyed it till she saw his face, and then she didn't want to continue.
Oh my God, she's so surface.
So the psychologist, her name is Paola Flores, and a psychologist named Martiza Montalegre. She claims that Flores' case is not at all common. She said that it's a demonic case. She said they're extremely isolated. And another person who's a parapsychologist, Waro Urbex, he believes that her account is credible, adding that she was probably in a relationship with an incubus.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not really possession, because they're not possessing
It's
you.
not possession.
They're just
no.
attachments.
Yeah, attachments.
Demonic attachment.
Yeah, and the attachment went a little too.
Ooh, baby. Don't look at my face. Let's have sex. Ooh, don't look at my... Oh, my God, you look at my face. Oh, we're breaking
Tony,
up.
this is making a good movie.
We're breaking up. You looked at my face now. Oh, my God. Yeah. That I was going to ask if it was in England, because we know 9 times out of 10.
It's Colombia.
But 9 times out of 10.
No, we've heard those.
Sex with pirates, sex with ghosts.
This was Colombia.
Yeah. But we've always seen a lot of those in England.
We've seen those in England. So anyway, it's going to be on the Ecto portal page, and you'll be...
No pictures, though. Ooh, no naughty pictures.
I don't know. I don't think there's no pictures, but, she's able to talk about it. And
Well, that's good.
You
At
know,
least there were no children involved.
You know what? I wonder why... 2 decades? She never questioned it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. 2 decades. Did anybody else know? Did she ever tell anybody else? Was it so wonderful
if
she
it was
didn't?
that hot, okay. If you're listening to have this ever happened,
And this is happening to you, and you haven't told me.
no. If the person who this happened to is listening, why didn't you? In 2 decades, you didn't question?
Oh, who are you dating? Oh, it's just an old demon. He's big. Oh, he's got fangs. Oh, I just saw him recently. We broke up.
Well, anyway.
Wow,
I
you think
hope
you would have told someone in decades, though.
On a compassionate note, I hope she's okay, and I hope she's with somebody she really enjoys.
A new demon, maybe. You never know.
Or a person.
Or maybe. Who's your last date? Who's your last boyfriend? Oh, a demon. Oh, I have a lot to live up to.
That would be weird. What kind of sexual history you have? Oh,
Yeah.
a demon. And it lasted 2 decades.
Oh, my last boyfriend. He knew how to do it, and I never even had to see him.
Tony, you just made a great play out of the whole thing.
There you go. Just
Yeah.
making it a little more vivid.
Now, what do you have?
We're back at Loch Ness, because every
Loch
so
Ness.
many months we have a new story.
I think they were going to do a new a new search.
Yep, I heard about that.
Yeah.
So this one was a huge black mass the size of a double-decker bus that was seen in Loch Ness.
I'm not surprised. It's a big lake.
The person says, I was leaving Drogshit. I'm sure I mangled the hell out of that.
Are you trying to imitate a Scots accent?
Drumadosh, I don't know. On a coach, a bus. They were admiring the view while the bus was driving past the loch, and the person said it started to rain and a light fog rolled in, and their vision was a little bit limited due to the trees alongside the bank of the Loch Ness. But something caught their eye for about 5 seconds, and it made them jump out of their skin, which must have been frightening for all the other people on the bus. I'm just saying. They saw a huge black mass hump in the middle of the loch, the size of a double-decker bus. They'd say it's around 75 to 100 yards away, and they were confused and sort of surprised by it all. They jumped up to their feet, got a better look. The trees completely blocked their view for about 8 seconds, and then there was a bit of a clearing, and then they looked back and saw the black mass hump, and there was nothing there. 4 days before, though, there was a lake sighting on October 3rd. Wigton resident Richard Story said he was on a walk from Fort Augustus to Invergary when he saw an unidentified creature swim from the bank of the Loch Ness to about the center at about 10:45 a.m. The creature disappeared below the water, and then it came back up. Now, there are otters are pretty popular, and they're skeptical.
He didn't try to capture it with his phone or anything, the picture?
No, it's too fast.
Oh.
But there's an explanation. Locals think maybe otters, especially given their strong swimmers.
Yeah, otters. Yeah.
But some believe the sightings of the moving objects in Loch Ness are indicative of a surviving population of Plesiosaurus, although others argue that its more recent study makes it a possibility unlikely.
Well, Scotland's an old country. There's a lot of prehistoric archaeology remains they found there.
Yeah, and the Plesiosaurus aquatic reptiles first appeared in the fossil record around 200 million years ago and were thought to have died off 66 million years ago, the same time as the dinosaurs, and are a popular explanation for the monster to inhabit Scotland's Loch Ness.
Well, who knows? With the environment changes, that some of them could have survived and thrived.
Yeah, I still think with our polar ice caps melting, that
we're probably going to see
it's
more.
Probably pushing some of these lower, deep dive animals that stay down up more often.
That makes sense.
Supporters of the hypothesis point to the long necks of the Plesiosaurus and postulate that this explains why witnesses sometimes describe seeing a neck-like appendage with a small head attached sticking up out of the water. Recent findings suggest that the Plesiosaurus were adapted to tolerate fresh water and might have even spent their entire lives in it. It's more likely, according to Schofield, that the Plesiosaurus used their long necks to dredge the seafloor to get food.
Oh, yeah.
They have other enormous teeth arranged in rows like a grappling iron. It's been hypothesized that they floated on the surface and dredged the seafloor, blowing the dirt out through their teeth, leaving the clams, and then eating the clams. So interesting. They blow the air, blow all the murk away, and you get the clams.
That would... Nature's clever that way. They know how to forage for their food.
Exactly. So they're taking water samples and looking for bits of animal DNA, and they're just trying to do a lot of tests to continually see what might be living down there. They've done studies that were not comprehensive, so there's no definitive answer still, and there's still no proof, and no loch creature has been found physically. But there's still thousands of eyewitnesses. And many think Nessie is just an unknown creature like many around the globe. Norwegian sea serpents, Ogopogo here in North America. I'm not going to mention the Scandinavian one because remember last time we described that?
Yes.
That creature's name, we had a half a show later.
Right. I remember that.
That was funny.
Now, isn't there a woman in Michigan who talks about a sea creature?
The Michigan lake monster.
The Michigan lake monster. Yeah. And didn't she...
and Champagne in
Champ
Tahoe, right?
was his name, yeah. No, Champ is in Michigan.
Who's the one in Tahoe?
I don't know who's the one in Tahoe. I just know about the lady in Michigan. We wanted her to come on the show a couple times, yeah.
But there's one in Tahoe Lake, too.
Oh, that's interesting. So. Maybe I'm being naive, but I wonder... Isn't there enough technology and cameras and stuff to kind of get a little bit more evidence than before?
There is, but who's going to fund it?
Well, there's a visitor center in Loch Ness.
We're talking millions of dollars to fund submergibles.
You would think, but you would think that because
you could.
Well, wait a minute, but they're trying to get people to. Do another in-depth search for Nessie again.
Yeah.
So you would think that they would want to have the technology and everything ready for a new search.
Well, they would. If they're going to do that, they're going to have the technology. But I'm saying somebody has to fund that and pay the millions of dollars. The local visitor center does not have that kind of money.
No, I guess not. But
they rely on donations from guests, so they're not going to have enough money for that.
But there's also people who are really interested in finding Nessie, who are what they call cryptoid searchers, and
if you can get Elon Musk interested to find Nessie, you would probably find out.
Probably.
He would pay for it.
I don't even know if he's interested in that kind of thing. I don't know anything about Elon Musk.
He just wants to go to space.
I know about that part. And I rode in a Tesla not too long ago. It was very cool. Mm-hmm. But anyway, you know what? The answers will come.
Well, until then, we're going to keep having these brief sightings. Some of them, I'm like, I don't know. I see a black bump.
And if anybody has any insight about this that I don't know, or you can enlighten me on, we'd be interested in hearing it.
When I was there, I didn't see anything. I looked. I didn't see anything.
And that's kind of unusual because Tony always spots something.
Yep, I go to the mall, I see alien. No, I'm just
Every time Tony's in a place, he'll turn around and there's something.
Usually it's when I'm not looking for something. That's probably why I didn't see
That's what I
anything.
meant. When you're not looking.
But I was looking, so that was
You were
probably why.
looking. Oh, no wonder.
Exactly. All right, that's the paranormal news. All right, that's the paranormal news. So, on to our haunted segment this week.
Well, as you know, folks, we like to talk about local places in the Bay Area, and we are going to be talking about the town of Los Gatos today. And the town has a great interest for me because I spent part of my childhood there, and I've always felt that town was very haunted, and for reasons I will go into as we go into this segment. It's Los Gatos, which the name means the cat, is a town in Santa Clara County, in the San Jose area, the South Bay, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Bay Area. And there's a lot of hills and nature around there. It's a very beautiful little town, and it's a very old town that has a lot of old buildings and history. And when you walk around there, you can completely see the old buildings and history. Some of it's been modernized, but there's so much old Los Gatos left.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, there's a lot of haunted places, and we're going to name a few.
Do you know when the town was founded?
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity.
Yeah. The town was founded back in the late 1800s. I do believe that it was. It used to be.
Was it a mission?
It was actually a ranch before
ranch.
it was founded. Yeah. Yeah. So I will go ahead and just give a little bit of brief history about Los Gatos here.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, Los Gatos was founded in the late 1800s, and it used to be a ranch, and I believe that it was bought. It was bought from the family that owned the ranch, and it was made into a town. If I'm getting it right.
I wonder if did they buy it all at once, or did people buy like portions of their land little by little and make the town?
Well, it's a very complicated history here. So let me just go ahead and just go into the town history really quickly here. In 1886, there was a schoolhouse that was erected there for 4 rooms. The cost was $8,000. In 1887, the population was 1,500. And also, there was an election held to incorporate Los Gatos, passed by 126 to 44 votes. And the town of Los Gatos was established in 1887, incorporating 1 square mile on both sides of Los Gatos Creek. And also in 1887, the Jesuits selected the novitiate for their new college. And Linda and I used to go to that. My sister Linda and I used to go up there because it's such a beautiful nature center and just sit. Very beautiful place. And in 1887, the J.W. Linden House on Knoll, southwest of town, is under construction for $12,000. And also, I believe that there was a cannery there, and the wages were in 1887. The wages at the cannery were raised from $1.25 to $1.50 per day.
Probably a good job source for the town too.
It was a very good job source. And also, there was a property, the 120 acre of FM Macalo property sold for $60,000 in 1887. And also, there was an ordinance passed to provide for the organization of a fire department. So the town was growing. That was in 1888.
Yep.
And 1910, of course, there was the Los Gatos Telephone Company was founded as the phones started coming in. And then, of course, there was a national bank that started there. And they were known for shipping fruit, and there was a town hall and all kinds of. It was growing.
Yeah,
it's been growing since
growing
then.
with the times, by the sounds of it. Industrial age and just onward.
Onward, yeah. So, and the town has changed so much since I started growing there. Since I started growing up there, It used to be an artisan town with a lot of artisan and antique shops, and that's how I got interested in old books. Was actually Los Gatos, because they had an old bookshop there on the main road, the main street there in downtown. So the haunted places, there's always been haunted places in Los Gatos, and here's a few that I'm going to mention that have been known to be haunted. The first one I'm going to mention is the old cemetery area, and that's an area that I've never actually been to.
The cemetery?
I've actually would like to go to that.
Do you know anybody buried there?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
I've never been there, and that's an area I've never been to. It used to run.
How close is it to San Jose?
Los Gatos?
Yeah.
Oh, it's right in near San Jose.
Like half an hour, 20 minutes, 45
I would say
minutes?
20 minutes.
Okay.
It's next to Campbell in the Santa Clara County, and it's right next to San Jose.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So if you were to take a bus ride from downtown San Jose to Los Gatos, I would say half an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So the old cemetery used to run from Highway 9 to Los Gatos Saratoga Road, and it's now I believe the train tracks used to run near there. Mm-hmm. So there's people have noticed some hauntings in the old cemetery. Of course, if it's an old cemetery, they're going to.
Yeah.
They've noticed just figures walking around, ghosts, a ghost appearing here and there, and just walking around. They've seen like shadowy figures, apparitions, things like that. Yeah. So I personally would really like to visit there one of these days, but that's.
I was trying to think if there's any. The only time I've ever gone into a cemetery at night to actually do any kind of investigation was probably on one of the tours in New Orleans, where they take you to the old Jewish cemetery and you can kind of wander.
Oh, I imagine in New Orleans you probably saw a lot. Yeah.
Well, I didn't see anything, but
I mean, I imagine that it's
I'm sure
possible.
I'm sure people do see, but I didn't see it that night. But yeah, I've never done a lot of that. I'd be curious to do that in one of these old. Like this town, it'd be interesting to do that one night. I don't know if they let you.
Well,
a lot of them.
I saw hunting when I was a teenager in an old cemetery in San Jose.
At night?
Yeah.
But now I bet you they don't let people in after a certain time.
Well, actually, we didn't really go in. We were near the gates. The gates was. I'll tell the story very briefly. I probably told the story before on the show. It was my sister and a friend of ours. We heard about this ghost that used to wander around wearing a white dress and no feet, and she would just run past you. So we were, as usual, Linda was curious and asked about it. Linda, she's always been curious about ghosts since she was a kid. Well, he knows Linda, but anyway.
Who's Linda?
That's a long story. But anyway, we decided to drive there. So we drove to where the main gates are.
Yeah. And
we're standing there, and we weren't really drinking. We were drinking like sodas, not beers, but sodas.
Sure. What was in those sodas?
So we were standing there, and we're just talking, and then all of a sudden we turn around, and she sped right past us. Woman, long dress, white feet, and no feet, but she was all white, and she just sped right past us, and we go, "Whoa! Did you see that?" And my friend Julie, she said, okay. She said, I'm out of here.
But where did she go? Where did this woman go?
She just sped past us, running straight on.
Did you still see her? Did she vanish?
She vanished. She was walking straight ahead. We didn't really, at the time, we didn't really bother to find out where she went because it was so fast.
Did you have flashlights?
No.
Okay, so it was.
It was just girls standing around drinking sodas and talking.
Yeah.
In front of the gates. The gates were open.
See, it always happens when you least expect it.
Right, and the gates were open, believe it or not.
Okay.
I don't know if they would close those gates today, but back then they were open.
I bet you they lock them these days.
They probably do. This was back in the 70s.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm telling my age, but anyway.
Oh my God, back when you were like 7.
Yeah, really. So yeah, this was back in the 70s. And she just sped past us. And it just startled us for a second because we were just busy talking.
Yeah.
And we just went, whoa, we saw her. We all looking at each other. And then my friend, she said, that's it. We're getting out of here. She said, I don't want to. She said, don't ever ask me to do that again.
Well, why did she come the first time if she didn't?
That was our question.
Didn't you come here to see her and now you saw her? Now it's our fault?
Yeah, I know. She said, don't ever ask me to do that again. And she made us go in the car and she drove off really fast. And we're just like, whoa, okay, you know.
Because she will not be on a paranormal team anytime soon.
She probably wouldn't have been. She was a little superstitious.
Yeah.
Our friend, I loved her, great lady, but
Wow.
a little
All right.
superstitious.
So
but
this
anyway,
cemetery.
So this cemetery. So anyway, people have been known to seeing shadowy figures and figures in this cemetery. I don't have any stories, but it's known to be haunted, and
locals say that.
the locals say that. The second one is the Opera House, and it's named as the Haunted Opera House of Los Gatos, and people have seen sightings there, and sightings of people.
Bears having tea.
Yeah.
What, men, women?
They've just seen sightings of people inhabiting the place.
Probably crew, singer, stage.
Yeah, just people inhabiting the place, and an old opera house like that. I'm sure it has a lot of leftover.
I can't think of any opera house that doesn't have stories. Every one of them that I've heard, even Seattle's.
But I think one of the ghosts is supposed to be a woman that's been seen there a lot, and nothing's known about her, but she's seen there, and even the workers have seen her apparently. So that's just what's known about her. It's not nothing else really.
Yeah.
So another one is called Cogs Hall Mansion, and it's on 115 North Santa Cruz Avenue. It's a beautiful Victorian mansion, and before that it served as a mortuary, and before that it was a private residence. So the employees have seen stuff there, and also people who have visited the place have spotted apparitions there, here and there. I'm sure there's more ghost stories we haven't really heard about, but that's known to be a haunted place. I've never visited that mansion. I would love to do that.
I wonder if is it a private house or is it a museum?
I think now it's a museum. Oh, it's been a restaurant now. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a restaurant. So I'd like to visit. Maybe we can go eat there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And folks, if you're from Los Gatos and you're listening to this and I'm outdated in what I'm talking about, let me know.
Be on the show. You can talk about Los Gatos.
Yeah, come on the show. We'd like to invite
you. If you're investigators from Los Gatos and you've investigated some of these areas, come on. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, or even areas we haven't even talked about here. Yeah. And also there's Old Town Los Gatos, which I know that place is haunted because I used to go there lots of times when I was a young kid and a teenager.
So I'm assuming Old Los Gatos is the original settlement portion, and they built up around it. That's like the oldest part?
Right.
Okay.
So Old Town used to be a school. And
that's cool.
Yeah, and it was called University Avenue School. So that town has been known to have a haunted reputation, and I know it does because I used to walk around there on all the shops, even when people were lively there, and I used to feel weird energy around there. And there was this one bookstore I used to walk around in. It was downstairs. It was actually Upstart Crow. Upstart Crow had two locations, one in Prune Yard and one in Los Gatos. The one downstairs, I used to wander around, and of course, I'm a reader, so I used to read things, and I used to see books that I wasn't supposed to look at, but I would see. But it was the 70s, and they would put all their books out, and like just books on weird subjects, and I was a kid, and I used to walk around and just look at and just feel. I would think there's weird energy in here, and I was only a kid, but I felt that. So. So it's known to be haunted. I've felt it, and if anybody has some stories about Old Town Los Gatos, I'd like to hear about it, considering I'm very familiar with the place. They actually had a theater there too, a Los Gatos Theater, where they put on plays. I think the theater is still there.
Probably is.
I hope so, because they put on some great plays. And then there's Forbes Mill, which I went past, but I've never been there before. And people have heard footsteps there, and they've seen people there who like apparitions appearing to be people who are in the place, but they're not. But then they disappear, and they've talked about, and people have talked about that. The place seems to be filled with a lot of energy and sounds there whenever they go in, and then there's a couple other places in Los Gatos that I've been to that I'd like to talk about. There's Vasona Lake Park, and that park actually used to be a dairy farm at one point. And I walked around there.
So when you walk around, you hear moo.
That's a good one.
Moo.
That's a good one. Yeah, it's a beautiful park. There's a lake there with a lot of ducks and waterfowl and
moo.
Oh, good one. Yeah, and it's very beautiful. And it's a very beautiful park. A lot of wildlife, but boy, you can feel weird energy around that park. And there's also Oak Meadow Park there. And Oak Meadow Park has a train, a carousel, and it has an old World War II shooter jet plane that the Air Force has lent to the park for years, and kids play in it.
Oh,
and
still there?
It's still there. And I have now. I'm not saying that it's not safe for the kids, because the kids have been playing there for years, and I used to sit in that thing years ago.
It doesn't mean they still let them.
No, they still let them. It's still
When's the
there.
last time you were in the park?
Oh, it was years ago. But
That's what I'm saying.
No, but I heard it's still there. But if
Well,
I'm
it may
wrong,
be still there, but kids may not be able to go into it.
no, it's there. It's there for people.
Prove it.
Well, okay. Last time I checked,
Okay.
kids can still play in it.
All right.
Yeah.
Back in
But-
1872.
That's right. But actually, it was a jet that was a relic from the Korean War. It was a war jet, and it's sitting there in the park. And every time I've gone near that plane, this was years ago, I used to think, "Ooh, weird energy." I don't know if it's ever been used, but
Usually they are. They wouldn't give them a new plane. I'm sure it's been shot at. It's probably outdated. They probably
it was
"Here,
just I just
donate
got
it."
weird energy going near that thing. But it didn't stop anybody else. I used to see kids play in it and crawl all over it all the time. So
Yeah. Did you ever go in it?
years ago when I was a kid, I sat in
Did
that
Linda
thing.
go in it?
I went and saw. Yeah, I sat in
Did
it.
Linda?
Yeah. Did Linda? I don't know about Linda, but I know I did. Anyway, Oak Meadow Park has weird energy too. And then there is the Cats Estate in Los Gatos. It's a gate where there's two cats in the front, statues of cats, and it was. And the Cats Estate has a very interesting old history in Los Gatos, and I just remember that years ago, driving past that, we would see just weird. We would just sense weird energy around there. And one time, I think near the gates, we saw somebody there who appeared to be working there, but he didn't. He looked like. I mean, of course, they're probably hired people to keep up the grounds at the time, but it just looked like he did belong there for some reason. And then we turn around and that person wasn't there. But I don't know if it was somebody who just walked away or if it was a ghost. But anyway, the Cats Estate is really cool with the cats in the front of the gate. And one of these days, if we ever go to Los Gatos, I want to show it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's and those are my takes on old Los Gatos. I'd say my recommendations are walk around the town, walk around the old buildings. You're going to sense a lot of energy. If you're an investigator, don't just go to the places that we talked about. Walk around the town, and if you sense something about an old building, I would say it's worth walking around and just do your own investigating, because there's so much history.
Yep.
And lots
Alright.
that we haven't covered. Yeah.
All right. So next time you're in Los Gatos, or you live there,
I miss it
explore.
there. I love that town.
All right. I've never
Yeah.
been there. Maybe someday.
Yeah, you will.
All right, folks, that's the episode this week. And until next week, we'll say goodbye. Bye.
See you next week.
Royalty-free, copyright-free music by Kevin MacLeod and Ross Bugden. Be sure to visit us at www.ectoportal.com. Check out our archives on YouTube and head on over for new episodes to ectoportal.podbean.com.